because a softbox would look kind of directional. It's good for some areas, but since we have such a big skyline right next to us, it does give us that feel that it's coming from there. Alrighty, so we're gonna get started for the day. We're gonna have a 6x6 book light, and we have the sun working in our favor just to create some texture on the background. Super happy about this little lighting setup. Just create some fill and just motivated light to make sure that the backlight makes sense. All these other little things make sense. So until we see how it looks on camera, we won't really know. All right, so for our main key light, we have the 720. This is gonna be bouncing off the 6x6. It's gonna have this whole book light thing. I always recommend bringing backups just in case if a certain lighting setup doesn't work. We didn't really have a scout day, so I do have soft boxes just in case if it's just too intense. And sandbags / power. Combo stands aren't necessarily a new thing, but they're a new thing to me. My buddy Dan was just talking about them a lot, and I had like heavier lighting setups, so I figured to try them out. I'm actually gonna be making a whole video on combo stands at some point once I have a little bit more experience, but I don't know why I haven't purchased combo stands, because this is so much better than C stands. Has a smaller footprint. It's basically the same weight. C stands have their purpose, but I think a lot of people would benefit a lot more from having this than a C stand, but everybody uses C stands, so I don't really understand. No pun intended. I didn't really go too deep into why combo stands are more useful, but C stands just have these legs that stick out and they fit really weird in a car, in a bag, anywhere carrying them around. Combo stands are way sturdier. Everything about combo stands just makes more sense for most people, but I think people just use C stands because everybody says use C stands. But from now on, for most projects, I'm gonna be using combo stands because they're sturdier, they pack smaller, they're just a little bit heavier, but at the end of the day, they're just overall better stands. This location really did work in my favor. It was super early in the morning. I was setting up by myself, and it was just this nice, calm, peaceful lighting setup. Another thing to note is that whatever location you're in, try to get as far back from the background as you can, obviously to where it makes sense, but I'm trying to shoot into this corner, have some of this area be visible. There's a nice little shrubbery plant thing, but I do want background blur, so I'm gonna try to get as far away from the background as possible. So I'm gonna set up somewhere around there. So this was my first time using the Westcott Scrim Gym, and it was so easy, so portable. I thought it was gonna be a lot more difficult to set up, but I'm probably gonna be using this on other projects just because how easy it is. Alrighty, we have our not so little 6x set up. This is a little bit of an unconventional way of setting up a 6x frame, but we don't have tons of wind in here. We're sandbagging it. It's gonna be fine. For any interview lighting setup, it gets a little overwhelming when you're just trying to figure everything out at once. I would just go one thing at a time. I set up camera first, so I actually know where my lights are gonna go. I see my frame. I'm gonna get a chair here, monitor the frame on the wireless transmitter, and then I could start lighting. I wanna see where I'm at without any lights whatsoever, so I can know where to place my lights. That's something that's a little overwhelming when people first get started doing interview lighting setups. They're like, oh, where should I put my light? Just turn on your camera first and then figure it out. That's a perfect example. I turned on my camera, and by the time I ND'd this bright exterior, I know that this is a little too dark, so I am gonna lift the overall room ambience. How I'm gonna do that, we'll figure it out. I might shoot some light into the ceiling to get a good balance and a fill. So this idea of bouncing light into the ceiling to create this soft little hair light did absolutely nothing. And here's me just setting up the 6x6 by myself, and it was too dangerous, so I ditched the idea completely and waited for my help. That was unfortunately a little late. That should be good. Holy smokes. This is huge. It is huge. The reason why I have this big light source. Oh, is it recording? Oh, cool. I get to explain it. And because before I was just talking to the camera, I was like, that's boring. We're having this here. Yeah, it's gonna reflect, but we're gonna put a diffusion frame right here. So it's gonna reflect twice. Oh, wow. So it's gonna be super soft, like super, super soft. Now that I'm looking at it, it needs to be, let's just get the diffusion frame on it. So let's move this back a little bit and to the side. Okay. All right, so here, now we're gonna see how it looks. If I could have someone just stand or sit in that chair. All right, so a full stop of diffusion just took out a little bit too much light. So we're gonna use a quarter grid diffusion. just to get a little bit more output on his face. I'm gonna give you a little separation from the background, but I don't know if it's gonna do much. What do these things do? Do they look mixed in? Oh, okay. That looks cool. So you don't necessarily need a motivated light source when it comes to commercial lighting, but I always like having it just because it looks more natural. I think it looks more professional, but this one light that I'm gonna show you pretty soon saved the day and let us motivate this warm light that created color contrast. This little lamp right here saved us. It was able to help us motivate this Fresnel so we could add some warmth into the image and actually have like dimension and color contrast because this lamp is so warm. So if you get to a location, make sure you look for lamps, maybe warm lamps, whatever it may be. It also accents this little thing just to make sure you can actually use lights and they make sense. This light right here is just filling the background because it was pretty dark with NDing everything, and Kaique is over there. So we're pretty much set and ready to go when it comes to this interview setup. So look at that. That helps so much. And now we're just waiting for the client to bring out some people to start interviewing them, giving testimonials. But yeah, see you guys later. This is basically how the rest of the day went. We just went through interviews back to back to back to back. And yeah, it all went pretty smoothly. All right, so we're actually on break right now, and yeah, we got through a couple interviews. I have Enrique manning the door because there's a lot of noise, and Kaique is getting some footage of people that are on break just interacting. But this interview setup was actually the first time I've done a book light in a professional setting. I've done it at my house prior just to make sure it works, which is a tip I give on the channel, never to try things on set, try them before. Actually, you know what we can do? I can record here too, bro. I have an entire interview set up, but I'm not even using it. So yeah, this book light right here is giving us a big source of light. It's just more believable than a softbox, because a softbox would look kind of directional. It's good for some areas, but since we have such a big skyline right next to us, it does give us that feel that it's coming from there. If I turned it off, which I'll show you right now, it doesn't really look like it's doing anything. Like, I was looking at the image, I'm like, it kind of just looks like the skylight. That's actually good. Because when I turn it off, this is how dark it actually is. What you want for most scenarios is you want it to look natural. You want it to look like it's coming from the source, and not just motivated, but like no lights are being used. And that's what I think we did successfully on this shoot. So I'm gonna turn it back on so I can say bye to you guys. But yeah, that's everything for this video. I hope you guys learned a little bit just being brought behind the scenes of a corporate interview setup, and I'll see you in the next video.